Hey everybody, Tom Ingram here, and in this video we're going to show you how you can increase your e-commerce product sales and conversions by helping people find exactly what they're looking for in your store with AI-assisted product search and discovery. Now, we've all been there. You know, when we're doing our online shopping, we come to a website and we're instantly greeted with pages and pages of products. And if you know exactly what you're looking for, it might not be so bad. But if you don't, the only thing you have to turn to is the keyword search. And that's when the real problems begin. And just to illustrate what I'm talking about, let's take a look at one of the more popular e-commerce sites for power generation, right? So this is EcoFlow, and this is practically a brand name in portable power generators, okay? And they have a great looking site, and this is a really technical product, right? There's a lot of specs, and if you're buying a portable power station, especially if you're spending thousands of dollars, you want to make sure that it's the right one. And so, you know, to EcoFlow's credit, they actually do have 24/7 human, sales assistants to answer specific questions. But most sites don't actually have that. And so if you go ahead and you don't know much about power generators, and you go in and you type something like power generator for camping, right? These are the results you're going to get, right? You're going to get a variety of different power stations with different specs. And, this might be fine until you actually go and you do a search for power generators for construction, right? And what usually will happen is, in this case, you actually get some of the same results. So the same power generators that can be used for camping, there's going to be some overlap, but it's not going to be very focused and tailored. And what you're going to end up doing is you're going to end up spending a lot of time going back and forth, looking at the different specs, doing research, possibly even leaving to figure out exactly what you need if you don't talk to like an online sales assistant. And so this is a problem that a lot of e-commerce sites face, right? Their potential customers come to the store looking for something, and if they have a really large catalog, they either spend a lot of time searching or they try to use the keyword search, which doesn't always give them exactly what they're looking for. A great example of this is when we look at supplements, right? If we take a look at websites such as iHerb, they have thousands and thousands of supplements. And so in this particular case, let's say that we're looking for a protein powder for power lifters, all right? It's very specific, right? It's not just generic. And when we actually look at the results, you can see that the first set of results are pumpkin seed protein powder. We see Rise vanilla whey protein powder, okay? Now these may be great for power lifters, right? After it is protein powder, but it doesn't seem to be very targeted, right? Now, as you scroll down, you start getting towards some of the more like traditional protein powders, but we don't exactly know, right? And if you go and then you do a couple more searches, we'll show you how keyword search really starts to break down. So let's go ahead and let's search for vegan protein bars with low sodium, okay? Now this is something that's very, very specific, and something that typically if you really wanted to find, well, anything that had low sodium, you would have to look at the ingredients, right? And so the first thing that comes up is, to iHerb's credit, there is a protein bar. Now, I don't know if it's low sodium, we would have to check it out. But the next results are basically chicken cubes, chicken broth, okay? Here's a slim vegan protein bar, which is okay. But then we have Ionic Trace mineral drops, right? Reese skinless and boneless sardines, okay? So this is not at all what we're looking for. And a frustrated customer could easily just go ahead and leave, right? Leave the site. Now, this is one case where, keyword search completely breaks down. And this is where you're looking for like something for a specific need, all right? And in this case, we are looking for supplements for afternoon energy crash. Now, I wouldn't necessarily expect to find like targeted products based on this keyword or based on this phrase, because this is not really how keyword search actually works, traditional keyword search. And so naturally, we are going to get a few products that are, tailored to what we're looking for, like Brain MD, Peak Energy, vegan capsules, all right? That sounds like something that we're looking for. But everything else is really not targeted. So, for example, Nutrex Research, this is for fat loss, okay? This, I'm not sure what that is, but it's not immediately obvious. The next results are basically electrolyte powder, all right? That's not exactly what we're looking for. We saw the Peak Energy. We see the original red juice, right? I don't know what that is. There's Genius Caffeine. And so as you can see, keyword search, it really breaks down quickly when customers come with like really complex needs and they're looking for something specific, maybe in a specific price range or something with different specs. And so it's important to basically have a way to help those customers on your store so they can find what they need and go straight to checkout. And so because of this poor search experience, because of the shopping experience, at least to 20 to 35% of your customers are going to leave your store or leave your site and potentially do research or do nothing at all because they didn't actually find what they're looking for. And what makes this even worse, or better, depending on how you look at it, is that AI-powered product search and discovery already exists on a massive scale. If you go to Google, if you go to ChatGPT, if you go to Perplexity, these AI systems have ingested millions and millions of catalogs from retailers and vendors, and they can actually give you product recommendations. In fact, if we go ahead and go to Gemini, for example, and we do a search for power generators for camping, what will happen is that Gemini actually has quite a bit of knowledge of different products that are out there, and Gemini often makes great recommendations for those products. So in this case, we have, what's a good portable generator for camping? And it gives you some pretty good recommendations. The Anker Solix C1000, the EcoFlow Delta that we were talking about before, and they didn't even give you additional product recommendations for different situations. So this is exactly what we want. We want to basically give our customers an assistant, a way for them to actually find what they're looking for on our site. Because when you just leave it up to Gemini and ChatGPT, what often they'll do is they will give the customer product recommendations, sometimes even recommend the same products that you're selling, only the product link, if they include a link, might be to someone else, okay? And so it's extremely important to have a AI agent on your store that can actually go through your product catalog, and then when it brings up the search results, right, within its own, its process, it can actually look through each individual one and make a product recommendation, okay? And so this is why we created our own AI product recommendation agent. So you can actually give your customers the ability to ask what they're looking for in conversational language, just as if they were walking into a store, and then get specific product recommendations based on what they need. So now let's take a look at a conversation we had with one of our agents that's actually based on the product lineup, the product catalog of EcoFlow. And what you see here is our Quest dashboard. This is actually where we train and develop our agents based on different catalogs. And so for this particular conversation, I was looking for a portable power station over 200 kilowatt hours. Now, I don't know much about power stations, and so I started the conversation saying that I need a portable power station with over 200 kilowatts of power capacity. And the response I got was, I'm happy to help you find a portable power station. Just to make sure I'm pulling the right options, could you clarify the capacity you need? 200 kilowatt hours would be a very large home-scale battery, roughly the size of a whole house backup system. Most portable units are rated in watt hours. For example, 200 watt hours, 500 watt hours, 1000 watt hours, etc. Are you looking for a unit in the 200 watt range, 200 watt hour range, something larger, maybe 500 to 2000 watt hours? Or did you actually need a 200 kilowatt class system? Let me know and I'll pull the best matches for you. Now, this specific response, we did not train this response. We did not tell the agent, make sure that the user is using the right, the right details. It just noticed that the request we were asking for was pretty large, and it asked us, "Are you sure you actually want 200 kilowatt hours?" And this is the type of response we actually need. Now, I responded, "Yes, 200 watt hours is fine," and then it gave me a 3 options. Let's see here. Yeah, 3 options that were basically a range. So the first one was 45 watts, and then the second one was 170, and then the last one was over 1,024 watt hours. And so this is the type of help and support that we need, especially when you have a customer who might not know exactly what they're looking for. And of course, your catalog isn't always going to have the precise product the customer is always looking for. So it's good to give the person searching a good range of options. And so then what I asked was, do you have any solar generators, right? And so then it goes and it searches the catalog again, and it came back with a few solar generators that I could consider, right? So these are all solar generators. And so the next question I asked was, I was asking more like detailed questions, like, can this particular model, the EcoFlow Delta 3, can it run a refrigerator, right? And then the answer I got back was yes, it can run a typical household refrigerator, especially with the 3,000 watt hours of capacity. And then scroll down, I asked about air conditioners, and then I came to the really good part. Was it gave me previously 3 generators to consider, and I wanted to know like what generator gave me the best value, right? And in this case, it was comparing the cost of the generator per watt hours, and it turns out that the Delta 3 Ultra Plus was the best one. So this is a case where you have a customer who doesn't really know much about the product, in this case power generators, and it was giving me comparisons, right? Like, this is something that the customer normally would have to go outside of your website to go figure out. Now, one thing that you want to keep in mind is that it's very important to have a very detailed catalog when you're working with products like this, because you want to make sure your agent has all of the information that it needs. But this is the type of response and support that your customers can get directly inside of your store to help them make a better decision. But what I want to do now is I want to show you the actual chat window. This is the dedicated page chat that your customers will find when they click on the link in your store. Right now, you can also put this into a section, a page section, or you can also just have it as a dedicated page where they get like a full, like a full desktop view page for all the responses, and it really helps for also seeing the products and things like this. And so with this particular chat, I asked a question, do you have any portable chargers for iPhones and laptops, right? And the answer it gave me was, it gave me a few options here. And depending on your question, if you have a lot of products in the catalog, you're always going to get slightly different answers sometimes. And this is good for product discovery. But they're typically, if your products are focused enough, typically you'll get some pretty good considerations to think about. All right. And what's really interesting about this is that I've noticed that because the agent is responding and reacting to you, it really does try to give you the best product recommendations for what you're asking. So this question I've asked, that I'm about to ask, do you have any personal chargers I can take with me on the go to charge my iPhone? If we go up to the first question we asked, that question was, do you have any portable chargers for iPhones and laptops, right? And what it gave us was some pretty good, I would think, for the 3 products that it gave us, a pretty good mix of potential solutions. But the question we're asking here is much more specific, right? So we're asking for personal, portable chargers on the go. So let's see what actually it comes back with. Okay, so here you can see this is the answer that it gave us. And so what I love about this is that, like a charger can either be something that you plug into the wall, right? Or it can be like a portable power bank, right? And so what it did was it actually chose a mix of potential products that we might actually like. It chose power banks and it also chose chargers, right? And so this is the type of detail that you want with product recommendation. You want a range of different options that might suit the customer. And what I really like about this is that it's really actively thinking about what would be the best product for this particular query. And so this is a really, really powerful way of being able to give your customers exactly what they're looking for. So let's go ahead and move on to our health and wellness agent. And what we did was this agent is actually trained on some of the same products that you saw in the supplement example, okay? And again, this is a completely different agent, and this is the type of dedicated page that your customers would see if they were searching for the health and wellness products, all right? And so if you recall, we actually we used a keyword search for the iHerb page, and iHerb has a very, very sort of sophisticated keyword search. And as you recall, when we asked for low sodium protein bars, we got like 1 or 2 protein bars, and then the rest was like, chicken broth and sardines and things like that. And so when we asked our agent the same thing in natural language, the answer we got back was, I found several high quality protein bars that are often lower in sodium compared to standard options, focusing on natural ingredients and clean labels. Now, in this specific case, our agent had access to our catalog, which had about 1,200 products in it. And those products, not all of them had like supplemental ingredients, right? So it didn't necessarily have access to like the ingredients of the products. So it just had to make a guess based on the descriptions and the labels that it had. And as you can see, it came up with some pretty good recommendations, all right? So we have the high protein energy snack bar, and it actually said, in some responses, the agent actually says, make sure you check the label for the sodium. But based on what it had, it tried to make the best guess for the product recommendations. And then we said, I'm looking for supplements for my afternoon energy crashes. So this is the one that we tried where I think we got like 1 or 2 products, but that was like out of, a dozen products. All the other ones were like, electrolytes and, like fat burners or fat loss, supplements, that kind of thing. And so what we did was the agent goes through and actually searches for like products, energy products that meet what we're looking for, something that's not going to give us so much energy that is going to keep us awake at night. And so here it's a few top rated supplements that focus on sustained vitality and natural ingredients. So we have the Solar Ray high energy multivitamin. We have the B12 energy boost sticks. And then we have the organic maca. And then the Zhao Nutrition Energy Focus. Now this is the desktop version of the chat. And let's show you what the mobile version looks like before we go on. Okay, so before we go, what we're going to do is we're going to show you the mobile experience for the Quest agent. And so if you give your customers a link while they're on their mobile phones, this is the type of experience, sort of like a chat, that they'll experience. And so what we're going to do is we're going to do a search for protein powders that are between $30 and $50. All right, so let's go ahead and try this. Let's do the search. And as you can see, if we go all the way up to the top, it says I found several high quality protein options that fit perfectly within your $30 to $50 budget. All right, and as you can see, they're all between $30 and $50. And the next thing I want to know is Okay, now let's go ahead and search for that. And so what's interesting about this is we're searching the sort of health and wellness database. And while it mostly focuses on supplements, there are quite a few like snacks and even some like, salad and microwave style meals in the database. And so if you go ahead and you look through, it actually is recommending some pretty interesting products. The last one, organic for toddler, right? That's always interesting. Now, if we go ahead and say, then we see what it comes up with. Okay, so it gives us some products that are similar or the same, and then others that are different. All right, so you can see how we're kind of looking for a category of snacks, and like in this case, for example, the dried fruit premium ultimate apricots, right? Like it's basically understanding that we're looking for something that's like fruit based. So this is a great example of really product discovery in action. So as you can see, this is a really powerful way of giving your customers the ability to find exactly what they're looking for, whether they're searching your store at 4 in the afternoon or 4 in the morning. All right. And so when it comes to building something like this, there are quite a few moving parts, but we basically follow a 4-step process. And it first starts with, importing your catalog into the Quest system. And then we start fine-tuning the search filters, as well as, dialing in certain things such as the search pool that affects the product discovery and recommendations. And then we move on to really training the agent and testing the responses. We want to make sure that the agent really understands what the customers are looking for and how to respond in certain situations. And then after that, we actually deploy it to your store. And then, like we said before, that can be as a dedicated page, whether it's desktop or mobile. It can be, a chat widget, or it can even be a page, a section on your pages, such as the home page, or even on like different product pages. And so if you're interested in getting something like this for yourself, we actually have 2 different options. The first option is the DIY kit, the Ecom Product Recommendation Kit we released a little while back. That's really a very basic version of the Quest system. It's essentially an automated workflow that you have to set up yourself. You have to set up your own database. You have to, take what we've built into the agent, and you have to really customize it and make your own. And then the second option is the Quest system, where you basically just give us your product catalog, and then we fine tune it for you, and we develop the agent so you can actually immediately deploy it onto your store. So if you're interested, you can actually check out the links in the description for both systems. For the product DIY kit, you can actually see the demo video that we made about that one, and then you can also see the details about Quest. And so with that, I will see you in the next